this is kind of scary. I have no rundown for this episode. Hi, guys. Welcome to the Gig Economy Podcast episode. We're going to go 238 tonight, Monday night, different time to stream. We got Steve from Rideshare Rodeo, who's my, it's a friend that I've never literally met in person yet, which is strange that we haven't connected.
Yeah.
Especially that caught COVID from you.
Especially that I'm from the same state you live in.
Right. Right. Well, I should get after you. Do you still have any family over here?
Oh yeah.
When's the last time you've been here?
I just avoid them.
Fair. Same boat. So I decided to do this on Wednesday because I know it'd be streaming 2 hours in a row, and we know Jason doesn't want to do that. But I wanted to bring Steve on because he's really involved in what's going on in Colorado. And if you haven't checked that out, and hopefully you'll learn a lot tonight, there's a lot of crazy stuff that's going on as far as the new rules being in as of this year, I think, or a little bit of last year, and then what Uber's doing about it. So why don't you give us like a 90-second kind of thing, and then we'll just jump off from there, like who you are, what you do, and then we'll kind of dive into it.
I am Steve. I am Rideshare Rodeo. I think that the audio podcast, YouTube, whatever social you can find me on, but they'll probably bring you to those two because that's where I do the most stuff. But I'm talking about a lot of things that I feel like a lot of other people don't talk about. Mm-hmm. Jason, and Larry, too. I've been doing that for years. Mm-hmm. I'm just getting a lot more people listening now.
Yeah.
It seems like years ago, people didn't care like I did. Like I was out there going, hello.
Well, I think they're starting to realize that just because, hey, it's not happening in my state, if they pass it here, chances are it's going to move to your state eventually. And everybody's watching it move quickly now too. Mm-hmm.
Like, so now they're like, wait, this is very real. And the sky is falling. He wasn't lying.
Yeah. Well, one thing I always say about Steve is he's very versed in like the legalities of a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And he gets a lot of like super, super smart people on his show. And, we're kind of the light, funny end of it. And I think there's space for both, you know what I mean? It's good to have fun, but it's also good to be like, hey, these companies are messing with you, or these states are messing with you, and you need to take action.
Yeah. And they get into the weeds in it.
Yeah, for sure. Nuts and bolts. So tell us so Colorado has this new law. When did that go into effect, and what exactly does it state?
So it's two laws. Okay. I won't give the numbers on stuff. I've done it on other episodes, but one is rideshare related and the other is delivery related. Okay. They are the delivery one was done in the House of Representatives, and the rideshare bill was a Senate bill in the state of Colorado, not federal, obviously. The delivery went into effect on January 1st of this year. The rideshare portion went into effect on February 1st of this year. So both are very new. They knew back in June what the ruling was, and they even took the time to take quotes from the companies, and like specifically from Uber. They don't want to give a quote. They don't want to say things that get them in a jam or something. But they were like, they literally were like treating it like almost like, what do you call it when you're reading somebody their rights when you're arresting them?
Miranda rights.
Miranda rights. It's almost like that. It's almost, you understand what just happened here in court, right? You understand the words that we just used. You understand this date is when it goes in effect. You understand. And they're like, yeah, we've got no problem with that. So, the 1st of January rolls around. Doordash on the delivery platforms started becoming completely transparent, full transparency to the drivers and to the customers about 3 days before January 1st. My thought is the ticket is so high, they didn't want to run the chance because it's $1,000 per side and then $200 to the state of Colorado for each instance they're caught in. So like one delivery. If the receipts don't match the customer and the drivers, that's an instance. That one instance will cost them $2,200 each time.
Oh, wow.
And so they have to match. So I think DoorDash was I don't think they were doing it out of the love of their heart. I think they were doing it to make sure that come the first, there wasn't a hiccup in the system, and all of a sudden they were all spitting out the wrong things.
Yeah.
I think it was literally just like, we understand the weight of this. And that made me appreciate it even more. The fact that you're running 3 days early, unlike how you've treated other states. Uber started Uber Eats was playing partial transparency in January, but they weren't really, I mean, as you know, you can remove a tip. So creates a problem too. But Uber Rideshare was the big one they were very concerned about. And so right around the 15th of January, Uber filed an injunction to be able to, basically the same thing as when Prop 22 hit California. They wanted to be able to not have to be transparent with Uber Rideshare until they had their day in court. So like in California, it was, hey, AB 5 just went in effect. We want to have this carve out called Prop 22. We want the voters in November to vote about it. This is January. Put it on there or we're leaving the state. They put it on there. Yeah. And so they let the state decide. Well, here, Uber thought, you can give us a continuance because this is not cool. We're going to show beyond the shadow of a doubt. This is hurting. This is taking away from our First Amendment rights. That First Amendment thing had to do with the font size and the way that it lays out.
I know. I read that. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, this is they were just grabbing it any straws they could, man.
Yeah.
But here's the nice thing about that. In every state where this kind of thing has happened and legislation is going or something like this is about to happen or it's already happened, you don't really see them getting too worried. Our state didn't push any money, no minimum wage, no weirdness like that. We just were pushing transparency and the right to a human review on deactivations.
Okay.
So there's no money involved, but it's somewhat involved going into their little black box.
Yeah.
And they got freaked out, dude. So they wanted the injunction. Oddly, the judge said, I'm going to take the weekend. He said this on a Thursday. And then I think the 1st of February fell on a Saturday that was supposed to be enacted. He did not grant the continuance on a Thursday. And he said, I'm going to take till Monday because I'm a little torn with this one. And, but you guys will have to be compliant on Saturday. I think he knew they wouldn't. So he came back Friday and made his ruling without waiting till Monday. He just was like, no. And here's what the main thing that stood out was he said, no, obviously, you don't get the injunction. To get an injunction, it's supposed to be like beyond a reasonable doubt you'll win. This hurts you for no reason. Of course, we'll give you the injunction until you have the right to fight for this.
Yeah.
The judge told them, I have to believe that you'll win this case. I honestly don't think you have a chance at winning this case. He said this to him. I mean, this is his words. He's like, you're not going to win this case. He goes, I can't do it on that ground alone. He goes, I do want to mention something to you. And this is the first judge to do this. I love it. He said, I do want to mention this to you too. You would have had a lot better of a chance at a continuance had you filed it in June 25th of last year, because that's why we recorded you saying you understood what happened.
Got him.
And so he said, had you filed that continuance, we might have reviewed it then and said, sure, because you still wouldn't be going to court for another year.
Yeah.
So you'd have got that continuance. But he was pointing out the way you did it, the Uber-y way you did it. And he even said, yes, it's within your legal right to do that. He goes, but what you've done to me is the judge, you've put a burden on me that basically in 2 weeks, this law starts. We want to challenge it. I know you wanted to challenge it back in June. He goes, but now I got 2 weeks to like make a decision that's going to impact so many. He goes, I'm not doing it. No, you're going to be held accountable to the law. So now the law's in place. They're playing transparency. I can say this. I've even been looking, and this is both you guys Larry does more rideshare, but it's gonna blow both your minds. Maybe Larry will have a good insight on this one because I don't even. But before the transparency, I'm just gonna use the easy example. For me to go to the airport, okay, is $45 to $60, and it could go higher in a holiday or whatever. That's how far I live. Never in my life have I pulled up Lyft or Uber. Mainly Uber, but never have I pulled them up as a customer and seen under $45. Never. Doesn't matter time of day. Nothing. Never. So I had to go. I was flying out for some production stuff last week. Had to go to the airport, and I pulled it up. Hadn't needed it since the transparency thing, and I know what's supposed to happen. So I was like, okay, this will be kind of interesting too. Order one, $31. So hold on. So everywhere else in the country, the fares are going up, right? We know this. Customers are paying more.
Yes.
So I'm seeing I'm seeing $15 lower than I've seen in 8 years living here. I'm going, what the hell? So on the transparency screen, when you call the car and you do say, fine, select the new transparency screen. This is why the font came into play, was it has to fit without any scrolling on there. And it has to show total I paid, and it has to show the driver pay. And then after the fact, they have to send the full breakdown, but they have been they did put it up front when I did this. So what happened was I see $31 or $32, whatever it was, for the full fare. I see driver paid $21. So I'm like, okay, they're 2/3. So I get in the car. I ask the driver. I say, we get chatting. He instantly knows I'm gonna find out everything, even if he doesn't want to talk. It's just too important to me, man. This is what I do. Like, he's getting it. So I was like, did you see so what? Do you mind if me asking me? I saw what you're getting paid. Do you mind telling me? And he was like, 21. I was like, oh. I was like, I saw 21. Okay, fair enough, dude. Like, they are not screwing around with the law. They don't want a $2,200 fine for a $31 ride.
Right.
It's to me, good smarts.
Yeah.
But then I said to him, and this is where I started thinking, dude, here's where it's going to be weird. I guarantee it. And I was like, did you see? I'm like, because he should, but I hadn't done a rideshare yet. I've done other things to see how it works, but he should see the same as me. He should see his pay and what the company is taking from me.
Yep.
And so I said, did you see the full pay that I'm paying? And he was like 31. And he actually quoted it exactly. It was like 31.92. I was like, yep. I'm like, okay, fair enough. And then everybody had told me you can't tip during the ride. I don't know if they fixed this and corrected it. This was about 2 weeks after the law passed. I scrolled down. The tip was right there. When the drive ended, it asked me if it prompted, first of all, it has to throw up a screen at that point that says the total pay I paid, driver pay, and then all the breakdowns right there.
Wow.
Like taxes, whatever they're doing with what. It has to say where it's going.
Okay.
And so, but then even after I got past that screen, it said, do you want to add a tip? I mean, everybody was telling me you couldn't pre-tip, you couldn't tip during the ride, you could only after tip if you remembered. Maybe that was the case on February 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever. But I got to tell you guys, when I took it, all those features were not only there, they were in my face.
Yeah,
because
might have been a bug.
Yeah, because what we were reading in this article we were reading, it said that Uber said they were taking away that they would no longer be able to accept tips on Colorado fares.
Well, the other thing, and I know this from rideshare drivers here in Colorado, who the day it happened, I was all over asking, right? So they're telling me, dude, it's really weird. What's coming up, even on the passenger screen, I've seen it, is it says the screen, the total, like I was telling you, that has to fit on the screen.
Right.
The passenger was seeing a wheel spinning, and Uber had it set to about 20, 25 seconds while it said loading fare details. And right at the bottom of it, it said rate your driver. But that came up instantly. Okay. So everybody was going to rate their driver, which took away the transparency screen. Mine didn't have a rate your driver. You saw the transparency screen and then you had to close it out. And then it had, you want to tap, rate, all that stuff. So obviously I think that it was there. I think they removed it.
Okay.
I think they got some more. I'm just pointing out that I think that they're getting some warnings that we always say, you can't do anything to Uber. I think they're getting some warnings that are scaring them. These minimum wage things and active time and all that doesn't scare Uber. Having to be transparent scares the crap out of Uber.
Yeah, let's go back to the initial that you normally say it's 45 to this. Why do you think it's gone to 31? Because they were ripping people off and now they're like, oh shit, we gotta. So they don't see such a gap between 21 and 45.
Exactly. But here's my thing to both of you as drivers. I want to know your take on this. So if Uber was charging, let's go to the lowest end. If Uber was charging me before 45, right? And I don't know any better. This transparency thing's going into effect. I opened it up like 31. Obviously, be sweet, nice.
Yeah.
But if it had been 45, that's what I'm expecting. Everywhere else in the country, it's going to be even higher now. So 45 wouldn't even be the lowest. It'd be 50 at least or more. But if it's 45 and Uber kept it right there, and Uber said, you know what? And I'm going to be nice here because we all know it wouldn't be this much. But let's say that Uber decided to give the driver $10 more. Instead of 21, they're going to give him 31. So that's 150% increase on the driver pay.
Mm-hmm.
In that scenario, under $45, Uber makes $14, driver makes 31. What they did with me at 31, Uber made $9.82 and driver made 21.
Yeah.
So both driver and Uber made less by them reducing the price to me. And everywhere else in the country, they're raising the price.
Right. Yeah, that's not sustainable.
But
So
but what's the reason? I mean, because I don't know either, Larry.
I don't understand why they would, like I said, why they would do that when there's such an easy answer. What you just suggested is for them to give the driver more, and people are going to be able to see that. It doesn't make any sense to me why they would be lowering the rates. Because we were just talking last week how much rates have gone up. I think I saw over the last 3-4 years rates have gone up like 40% nationwide for rideshare.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know how they would be. I don't know what
I think it's kind of what Jason was saying. I honestly think that they didn't want people to see consumer. Luckily, I'm a driver too, so I would go, whoa,
yeah,
and I'd be making a video about it too, whatever.
Yeah.
But they didn't want me seeing Uber 26, driver 21.
Right.
Yeah.
That's only
Who cares about the breakdown? Sense. They don't want me consumer seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was my question too. We were talking about, with the delivery, having to be totally transparent. Is there anything in place besides the delivery driver and the customer comparing notes? Is there any oversight or any way to know if they're not doing that?
Like how they report?
Well, there's a regulatory fee on every ride of 33 cents. That goes to a board so instead of like thinking, oh, Uber's getting audited this year, Uber has to provide a self audit every 3 months. Every quarter, they have to submit customer and driver or rider and driver receipts. They have to match. And there's a board that goes through them. If they don't match, $2,200 per instance.
Okay, well, that's good because that's what we've talked about a lot of times. A lot of the things has been put into place. We're like, yeah, that's great, but there's nobody's watching, and
right, no accountability.
Right. Like the Fox watching the hen house.
The other thing about the breakdown is it doesn't allow them to line shift. Like, remember in Seattle pay up legislation that they imposed a $5. See, this is what I don't like about dollar amounts. Mm-hmm. Seattle imposed a $5 fine or a $5 fee for the city and for all the helping the transportation and everything, whatever, congestion.
Yeah.
They imposed a $5 fee onto Uber. They said, you're going to pay this on every ride. Yeah. Uber literally passed it along to the customer and actually didn't even build it into their normal process. They made it its own separate line item that said Seattle City Council fee, $5. And actually I had somebody tell me that Joel from Dumpling, the CEO of Dumpling, he sits on the city council board. He was one of the people who voted on pay up. He told me that that it's actually $4.22. So to be honest,
they're making money.
They found a way to make money on it. Because they call it a straight $5.
Right. Yeah.
To the customer on everyone. They're charging you this council and they're making the council look bad. They're charging you $5. We're passing it to you. Well, why? But first of all, you're making money on it. That kind of stuff just seems like that's a no-brainer. Go lock them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talk about it all the time.
Going back to the rideshare, what is the difference between the rideshare bill and the delivery one? Have you seen, like, is it just the same, like, transparency, or because you said there's two separate ones? So
the obviously on the delivery side, or on the delivery side, the customer does see what the driver's paid and the total. They never at any point get a breakdown. of the between. They just see the two amounts though. They do see what they paid, what the driver was paid.
So they see the $2.50.
Yeah.
Yes. But here's my point. So like on the rideshare side, you're going to see the pre-amount, which is what the delivery people are seeing. Then you're going to see the post amount, which has fees. Then you're going to get an email as a customer that breaks down all of those fees and where they're going.
But not for delivery.
So they just got they squeezed a few more things out of the TNC bill. Probably because it was in the Senate. The Senate has a little more power than the House. So
okay.
Yeah.
Stephanie Vigel was the one who wrote the House bill. She's been on many times with us. And she wrote that. The House bill and the Senate bill was written after. So they kind of followed her lead. And so they might have added a few things to it. But regardless, I think for the delivery, I think it's enough.
Okay.
I'll say that. I mean, like as a customer, I don't get to use those apps because I'm not a millionaire. Yeah. However, I have a few times. I've never used DoorDash as a customer, but I have used Uber Eats. On Uber Eats now, if I were to see, okay, here's the total that I'm paying, and it always is showing you all the crap you're paying for anyway.
Yeah. Right.
You gotta, did you add in the straw fee? That's $100. Like it's got all these things. And then you do, then it says tip your driver and all that. For me, after the fact, after I've made the order and you're waiting on the driver to get a screen that says driver was paid and you got charged, and you can do the difference of those two numbers, that might just be easier and be more effective, to be honest.
Yeah, it doesn't jumble things up as much.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't muddy people's minds. They see, okay, the driver got this, I paid this. So let's go back to what your opinion is. So I presented this to my audience is that you're fighting the state of Colorado, but like, are you happy with what the state has done? Are you mad? Where do you stand on that? I mean, because the transparency sounds amazing. Like I'll be honest with you, I would love that everyone.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of my thing since I met you, Jason and Larry. I mean, that's been my main fight: transparency.
Yeah.
And here we are with it, and we don't have all the dollar amounts and other things. And it seems to be really cool. Like, dude, when I do DoorDash, I see full pay, tip right next to it. They have broke down the tip and the amount can't change.
Wow.
The amount can't change. That's what it is. And every time it's what it is. So I'm seeing what people are tipping full and it breaks it down. I'm seeing when there's a 1 mile order going out of my zone, I'm seeing if there's $0 tip, but it's 14, it says $14 base pay.
Okay.
There's no rhyme or reason to any of this, but I don't remember what the question was about.
Just in general, how you feel. Like, are you happy that the state stepped in and kind of made some changes, or did they overreach? Because I think in general, we're all a little bit like the government should keep their hands out of it as much as possible. But we've always said we would love deactivation, appeal, and more transparency. I don't want.
There has to be a little bit of oversight.
Look, I'm not a fan of big government.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a realist. I understand once you open the door to legislation, you're opening the door to a lot of people jumping in and taking money and everybody trying to get part of that thing. You know what I mean? Sure. So you're going to really, and then it's almost like two babies that can't work something out. So instead we're going to have some regulatory fees here, boys. Yes. Like Uber's really, these companies screwed around for too long. So do I like them? I'm not going to complain about ours because, like you said, ours is a right to have a human review challenge and deactivation. I think that's amazing.
That is.
And it's a panel of like 7 people. It's got drivers. So it has different walks of life. It has lawyers on that panel. So yes, you are getting a human review. For the transparency part, I've been fighting for this forever. What I do hate is that it's gone to legislation. I hate that it took this to just be transparent. They could have avoided all the fees and lawsuits over the years and then paid us more through these years.
Yeah.
Instead of all this crap. But here we go. But here's my biggest concern is for every other state in the country, because I talked to senators and legislators, and through talking to them, I've met others from other states. I am like in with a lot of people. Everywhere is passing. Hey, Michelle. Everywhere is passing legislation this year, everywhere. And if you live in a state where you're like, no, they're not. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. I've seen it maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
I love
and it doesn't look like ours. That's the other problem.
Right. Yeah.
Well, they're all different.
Different. Yeah. There is.
Yeah.
It's so
And I think
different.
when you go after the dollar, if I lived in a state that was going after the dollar, I'd be pissed.
Right. So how does it affect like Spark and Curry and those kind of things in that state? Instacart.
I mean, dude, I'll start with Rodeo, one of my most hated apps, but I still have it.
I still look at it once in a while when it's real slow, and I go, no.
Okay. But here's the thing. I've always wanted transparency. And I hate acceptance rate. I don't believe in it. It's like active time. It's just some made up thing, right?
Right.
So Rodeo is one of the apps I should love, and I do. I don't do much on it. I always said, listen, if you want to pay me a penny to do everything and there's no acceptance rate and you're being transparent, I just won't take anything. But I like having the ability to look.
Right.
Rodeo from day one has been doing that.
Okay.
They show you, if you pull something up, they'll show you every detail. Here's everything you need, and it pays $5. This could take me like 6 hours, dude.
40 miles.
$1 an hour.
But we're transparent about it.
You know, like we're transparent, bro. And like, and they don't have an acceptance rate. So they meet all the criteria in my book.
True.
Curry meets all the criteria in my book. They completely transparent.
Yeah.
I've never really done Spark, so I'm not sure if, I mean, I've seen screenshots. I've talked to a lot of people. I'm trying to think though, without doing it, you guys might, Jason, you'd know better. If there's anything that hasn't been transparent that would need to be.
I mean, we don't see any kind of breakdown. We see the base pay and the customer tip, but that's, I mean, I guess.
And it can't change. You can't be tip baited. Or...
No, you can. They get 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, which I don't have that often. I mean, maybe it's my market, but I'm not really anal retentive going back there. But maybe I'm being tip baited more than I know, but I really don't think it's happening a lot. But
yeah, Spark, it's kind of hard to go back and.
But for the most part, transparent.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah,
I mean it's like an Amazon Flex block. They're transparent.
Well, yeah, this is what you get paid.
Yep,
right.
This is it.
I mean, it's
right. I mean, it reminds me of Rodeo. I mean, there's not an acceptance rate. There's nothing that's going to hurt you. But if you take it, here's what you got to do, and here's how little we pay.
Yeah, exactly.
Take it or leave it. Yeah.
Well, I can see with Rideshare needing to be more transparent because there's all these damn fees, and same with food delivery. You know, there's a regulatory fee and a insurance. You know that they cry. We talked about it just on our last show Wednesday. A lawyer was talking about we're not using Uber anymore because they're trying to reduce to state minimums for liability, which is $25,000. Started out as $1 million.
Yeah,
they're trying to
2 years ago.
25,000 because they just can't afford it anymore. That's what they say.
So I think that part of your question, though, to the second half would be that if you are a Curry, if you are somebody who's a little like, wait a minute, am I doing everything right? I would say just check in with the regulatory board.
Mm-hmm.
They're not bad people. They would love a business to come forward and go, are we meeting the criteria here?
Yeah.
I wouldn't fly under the radar and think that, dude, we're too small. They won't care about us.
That's what,
because at some point it will come around and they'll care about everybody because the state makes $200 on every one on top of the fines.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
there's incentive for them to catch them.
Yeah. Well, of course.
Like big incentive though.
So you didn't quite answer my question though. And it wasn't like, yes, I'm like, are you happy with the state stepping in or not? Like, is that? I guess
yes. Because
because it doesn't involve money,
because every state is going to have something happen, and a lot of it is going to happen, and people are going to be like, "What? No way! I don't want to deal." Like, I'm not living in a state like that. I'm comfortable with what they did. I hate that it had to go for 3.5 years in legal battles and all this stuff to get to where we are, and them picking apart everything and taking advantage of everything and wasting all of our money.
Right.
I mean, us drivers, we're not saying like it's not as easy as going, well, we didn't sue anybody in Colorado, so let's give it all to the drivers. It's not like that, guys. We all know that. But there would be more if they started. Just look, you're not a technology company. I said this on the podcast. I pointed out Uber. You are not a technology company. Never been a technology company. Yeah. Take your little cut and move on.
Yeah, right.
You know, just come up with some fixed numbers. Jesus, it's not that hard.
So, Steve, in the articles that I was reading to research for the show today, they were talking about some of the ways that that Uber had retaliated, including supposedly, it said in the articles that we read that they were taking away tips, they were taking away driver.
That's why I wanted
area
to make preferences.
preferences. They're taking away extra destination filters, priority.
That they did do.
Okay, but the tips.
But you two probably realized. I've pulled it up on my screen before. I don't have the thing, but if you see them, Larry, you probably can see that there's 4 things they removed. I don't think they're big things.
Yeah.
Hey, what up, Boots?
Yeah, priority support and extra destination filter.
Right. It was just more a thing to pop up in the app, right? Like it happened the night before it went into effect, or 2 days.
The tip
before.
thing.
Hey, you're losing this.
Yeah, the tip thing was big.
Well, I thought, what a weird thing though, because I was like, right now, when it's always a balance, and if they're fighting the state, they usually try and get the drivers behind them. I took this one as like a threat. You guys are losing this because you suck. Do you just want everybody to fight? You want everybody to hate you? Your
How else
customers
could they take it if you're a driver?
Yeah,
if you're a driver, I mean, there's no other way to take that.
Yeah, that you're being punished.
Yeah. We're taking our ball, what we can, and going home.
Yeah, I just the other things didn't seem that important. Like maybe it is to some people, but I talked to a handful of people who said, no, I wouldn't care.
Utilize that a lot. I know. I've used area filters before. When they have a certain area that's circled down goes from the college to downtown, you get an extra $5 per ride on Friday and Saturday night. So yeah, you put your area filter there. You want to stay there, but it's not. We didn't have it for a long time, and I did just fine. So yeah, that's not such a big deal. The big one that really got me going was them taking away tips, and I was like, that's so wrong.
This person says, don't you think that the drivers would quit? No, because people are desperate. They would still work. And honestly, so I'm having. Did you have the CEO of Gridwise reach out to you to come on the show?
Ryan, yeah, he's been on a couple.
I don't know what his name is. Well, we're having him on, but I finally just before the show read that statistic report, which was really cool. But only 10%, roughly 9% of an Uber driver's earnings is tips. The rest is the base pay.
I would even question that.
You think that it would be lower?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was actually surprised on that. So taking tipping away, I'm not sure it would be that detrimental to drivers.
It would for me. I make more than that in tips.
Well, yeah, I think this is the average.
I think you'd have some drivers going, I thought you already did take it away.
Yeah, really. I mean, we all know that that, and some of them they'll just take away, make a lower base pay, and put the tip toward that. So
well, yeah, like Doordash.
Exactly.
I mean, guys, you got to understand one thing that's really, really hurt them. It's a new thing too, is that you got a lot of politics. You got a lot of senators finally understanding, not just like, oh, the gig economy has some issues we'll have to get to. They are focused in. I've talked to many of them. Others haven't. Some of them have wanted to go in deep. They know a lot now.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Uber investors are starting to pick up on this too, and the autonomous fairy tale that's been going on forever. Yeah, at some point, let's call it 2050, that it's full, because full is full. And it really, I've talked to engineers in the market, everything. It's not even in the 20-year realm, guys. But there are people who bought into Uber stock who still have sellout agreements on when they can sell those shares.
Mm-hmm.
And they're coming up, and there's a lot of people who have been saying, listen, I say it all the time too, but I never knew they'd say it. These are people who invested in the company who are like, wait a minute, I bought into this because autonomous was going to be here full in 2020, 2021, 2023, 4 or 5. Like, it's not coming for a long time. Hearing it everywhere, blah, blah, blah. So now what they're requesting is they put in a request to Uber. You guys you're going to find this funny. It was like 7% of the ownership, which is actually really big when you're trying to make a movement to something. They said, we want more details on the drivers. Now, instead of on the P&L sheets, the profit loss for the quarter, they don't just want to see drivers in full in the world were paid this. They want to see the drivers per hour, how many are on there. Because here's the bottom line question. They want to know, can drivers make a living wage on this platform? Because if not, they want their money out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because with autonomous too far out, it just means the stock will only fall.
Oh, I never thought about that. Which they should have that data anyways. Like I would want that if I was a big investor. If I had put millions and millions of dollars into Uber, I'd want more than just the basics.
Yeah. You want more than the 50,000.
I guarantee you, Uber and Lyft is on the NASDAQ, Uber's on the Dow. I guarantee you they are meeting the minimal Dow trading requirements.
Yeah.
To investors.
Just stay on there,
and people that were in on it before it IPO'd, they're under different agreements. Theirs could just say, shut the F up. You're not allowed to ever ask me a question. And even if our terms are different when we go public, only the shares you buy at that time will be levied to this. The rest you can just shut up.
What about Lyft? Their stock is so bad. At least Uber's has kind of gone up a little bit. I mean, I have Uber stock a little bit.
What about Lyft?
I mean, we just talked about how they're jumping on the autonomous bandwagon. I was like, why?
Well, because a company is the fourth company they've partnered with in Dallas is gonna partner with them. That's not jumping on the wagon. You want to know what jumping on the wagon is? On April 1st of 2020. Going, we don't have any ride shares. Maybe we should do delivery. That would have been jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah, thank you.
How many times have we kicked that dead horse?
Oh my God.
Right, but it's been a while. Let's kick it again.
Go ahead. Yeah. Preach it, brother.
It's just so frustrating that, what a damn shame that they didn't. Like, why not just add it? It can't be that much more work to add it.
Yeah.
Well,
even if it was, you had nobody going anywhere for 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, but also, why couldn't you just have partnered with all these companies that have gone to, onto, I can't think of the one app where you can do, it's where a lot of caterings go and everybody thinks it's the same across the country, but it's not. It's local ones. But you couldn't, it's, anyway, you could have gone on any of those. You could have gone local even or whatever, but there were other players out there too. Grubhub wasn't with Amazon.
Right.
Corner Shop wasn't with Uber yet. Lyft had enough pull at the beginning of the pandemic to use that database and go, we can get your food delivered.
Yeah.
We even got drivers to do it who are all sitting at home because nobody's allowed to go anywhere.
Yeah,
exactly.
Their thumbs up their ass. They're like,
what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?
I mean, I look at it as basically during the pandemic, Lyft just shut down.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, what they had to
Cartwheel. Thank you, Bubba Sue.
So much scale.
So the Cartwheel app is what she's talking about there. Here's the thing: a lot, and I should clarify this. A lot of people in the country think Cartwheel is a catering app. It's not. Cartwheel is software that leases it to companies in your state. So if I'm talking to somebody in Michigan, Jason, and he's using Cartwheel and he's saying, I'm having this amazing experience. I'm like, this sucks for me. It isn't just a night and day difference. It's that I'm dealing with a different company using the software than you are.
Okay.
So I always tell people, dude, I've had people call Cartwheel support and they're like, yeah, I'm having a problem with this. And they're just like, are you a driver for a catering platform? We're the software company. Call your partner.
So it spells that out in the app for Cartwheel, like you're working for such and such.
Well, no, but when you download it, you get an invite. After you do some of these deliveries, you'll get an invite, and then once it invites you, you can get on there and see offers. And dude, they'll even call Cartwheel's weird, man. I see good offers. I saw it's been a while, but I saw a $50 downtown. I was already home for the day. I had been doing curry since 4 a.m. Got home at 3. It was for 5 p.m. downtown. Paid good, and it was only 3 miles. And I saw it on Cartwheel. I said, nah. It went up $5. I said, nah. And then they sent it back to me at the same amount, $5. A minute later, I said, no, dude. No means no.
Yeah.
And then I don't know why I answered it. I don't know why it came up Cartwheel or it actually came up as the catering company that's here. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, wait a minute. So I answered it. And this lady's like, she didn't even say hi. If I had $5 to that, will you go take it right now? We really need you to take this.
No way.
Really?
So it's much different. I mean, somebody else might go, dude, I've never had that experience. Well, you don't have blank, blank, blank. Yeah. That is working on your Cartwheel app. I do. And
I think Delivered, I think Delivered's the same way. I think the company here is Easy Catering on the back end on and using Delivered. I mean,
wait, what do you mean?
Well, just like you're saying, Cartwheel, they're using it as a software, but there's other companies.
Yeah. I already know. I know all those guys that Delivered. So 80% of their business is Easy Cater.
Oh,
But,
okay.
but we can't get to Easy Cater. Those are just dispensed to catering apps. They mainly work with Delivered, then Deliver That, and some other ones.
Gotcha.
But then they do Relish is another provider, and they do some other ones.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I mean, none of it is I don't even know if you can, but none of it is delivered. It's delivered gathering other companies who do work in bulk and taking. One thing that Chris Heffernan, the CEO, does at Delivered that none of the other apps do, and this is why Easy Cater loves him, is because he takes he says whatever X amount per day. He's got like a par. He'll just take them and he'll pay for them and he'll make sure they're delivered. Whereas like a Deliver That says, oh, this guy canceled, we got to throw it back. And then in a very worst case scenario, they try what they can, but Easy Cater can still go to the large order program and try and put it through DoorDash.
Okay.
If they get into a real jam. But my point is like Easy Delivered takes a certain amount and Easy Cater knows they're not getting them back.
Oh, okay.
No matter what, Delivered will get them delivered.
Oh, they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we just got delivered here. I've done one. Most of them haven't been that great paying. I mean,
you got to get 10 in.
Yeah, that's what I heard. And
then take some pictures and like, cause you can add bags and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Too. I'm on their beta testing group too. So
yeah,
I'm always I'm always the guy kind of yelling and screaming because I'm not, and everybody knows this. I am not an Emerald driver. I'm the only not Emerald driver in their beta group.
Okay.
So Emerald's who sees the $700 orders twice a week and they do them in their pajamas. I'm the only guy not in that group in there. I'm the guy seeing 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks. I'm like, dude, I'm like giving them the real and everybody else is like, oh, we love it. It's such a good job.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, shut up, dude.
That's what I'm seeing, the $20, $30 ones. I'm not seeing anything great.
Look, dude, when I did my first 10, I think they were all 20s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or 25. But then like I've done much bigger.
Cool.
And then Zifty's another one too, but you gotta fight for those.
Yeah, I don't want to fight for shit.
But they pay, dude, they pay amazing, man. I saw one that was, when was it? It was like a week and a half ago, 1.5 miles was all the delivery was. And it wasn't even sometimes it makes $600-700 on delivered. You got to do like $4,000 or $5,000 worth of subtotal food. This was like $700 subtotal food going 1.5 miles for $145.
Jeez. I've seen that on Reddit. Is that a new company coming out? Is that what?
No, they just pump and dump. And the way that I've seen it, you kind of have to be in their app because you do get drop down alerts, but they must have bots. It must be the bot training center.
Well, it has to be on somewhere, right?
So you got to watch that app then. Like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, like Josh B is a friend of mine in Philly. What he said to me was he's like, listen, because he does great on Zifty. Like it literally is over 50% of his pay now. He does great on it in very little time. And he's like, listen, he's like, once you, what up, Jim? He said, once you kind of get in and do a couple big ones, he goes, go get a phone, a cheap one, and just have it open on Zifty all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't need another phone, dude. And he goes, if it doesn't pay for itself, cancel it. He goes, it'll pay for itself. Just leave it on.
100%. It's my extra phone costs me $20 a month. It's a cheap Android phone, and I run Flex on it. When I'm doing Flex, that's what I do. So,
so there you go.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Steve. I'm glad we talked about that. I'm now that I hear more of it, I'm kind of glad they did that. I'm glad they didn't mess with the money. The money part is like
that would have. So to go back to your question, had they messed with the money, I would have told you, no, I hate this.
Yeah, you're out. You're like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it can't happen.
No, but I'm just.
And it is a shame that it has to come to this where the government has to get involved. But I mean, being realistic, we know these companies, the sleazy companies, and that's what it's going to take almost to almost guarantee to get them to do these kind of things.
Yeah, for sure. McCallion says, fun fact, Steve and I have been in one of his bedrooms in his house. Were you guys spooning?
I don't know what we were doing, man. I think he roofied me when he was here.
Oh man!
Whoa!
Whoa! That was a Jason style joke. Yeah. 100%.
You brought it on yourself, John.
Yeah, exactly. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thank you a lot for Steve's audience coming in. Really appreciate that.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, everybody over. I don't know who's on which side, but everybody over on this side. I put like just come over to here and sub and like and push this video up.
Yeah, no,
yeah, we appreciate it.
The one fan that we got from you, Bubba Sue, she's on our streams like every time now, and we appreciate her. She always comments on my shorts too.
Yep. She's awesome. I don't know how she has the time, but somehow she watches a lot of us, and I'm very impressed.
Yeah, no, hey, I'm taking every bit of love, so really appreciate that. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll be live Wednesday at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock. That's our new time. Every Wednesday, 7 p.m.
7 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, 7 o'clock Eastern. Yep. Yeah. Even though Larry's not Eastern, he has to say
one of us has to do the calculations, and it ain't gonna be you.
So I'm not sure when this audio will drop. Probably sometime next week. But I appreciate you guys. Have a great night.
Yeah. Thanks everyone. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.